What's up, YouTube? Bubbles and Ball Cards back with another video tonight. Again, as always, I hope everybody is doing great out there, safe, healthy, and happy. Tonight's video is one I haven't discussed a whole lot, except for, I don't know, a month ago or however long it was when I kind of went on that rant. But tonight I want to take a different perspective on it and kind of just give a look back, kind of how the market what was months ago, and just kind of maybe delve a little deeper into will the gap ever close between SGC and PSA. This isn't going to be a, bash one company, praise the other, none of that stuff. I get blamed for that sometimes, and I guess it's just the way I try to explain things, so I'm going to try to avoid that. And I'm not going to use these two cards on the screen, but these are the only two that I could think of off the top of my head that I had one of each for, and they're also comparable grades, so I kind of want to talk about that for a minute. But let's face facts, guys. PSA, they do, bring a premium for whatever reason we choose to use at that moment or that conversation. As a collector, doesn't really ever make any sense, because we tell ourselves we want the card, we don't care about the plastic, and to be honest, that's true. Personally, I prefer the tux. I mean, I've said it numerous times. However, when I buy cards for my collection, I don't care which slab the card's in. If it fits my wallet and I can afford it and it's one that I want, and it's in a PSA slab, if it's in a BGS slab, if it's, hell, I've bought GMA just because I wanted the card and it might have been the only one available. In fact, recently, as I've shown in the mail day video, I've just been buying raw. If it's not, a higher valued card, or, like there was one I bought recently. I know it's not going to get a good grade, so it didn't care. It didn't matter what plastic it was in. I bought it raw anyway. And a lot of that is because, for one, as I said, I do like the tux, and a lot of stuff I look for, I can't find in the tuxedo, or it's just, there's only high-end listed and the price is up, especially on vintage. So that's kind of where I've been at with that. But anyway, what I have here is two playoff prestige Peyton Manning rookies. We have a PSA 9 and an SGC 8.5. The reason I, obviously to show both cards, both slabs, but quite honestly, if you look at the 8.5, there's really, especially with this type of card, there's no chipping, maybe no, that's not even chipping, that's just the coloring of it. There's a little speck of white on that corner. The black background, really clean. So for an 8.5, and then you come over and look at this, and I really, really, really don't see You know, there's white on that corner there, so you have corner and corner. Um, there's just such little. Actually, these corners down here actually also have white. But if you were to put these two like side by side, you're probably not going to notice anything different, really at all. Um, Except this one will sell for a lot more than this one. And that's where the big debacle comes in. You know, there's people out there that's only going to buy the PSA. There's people that probably have never searched SGC in their life. There's people you see posted all the time, who is SGC, what is SGC, whatever. And sure, PSA is talked about a lot, whether it's positive or negative. They are the topic of a lot of conversations. However, you know, will things ever change? That's to be determined. We don't know. And the reason I say that is I know a lot of people, and you know, there's a lot of longtime people, you know, longtime collectors, or you know, ones that collected back in the day and everything. But there's a lot that are coming back basically in 2020, and they may not have been around the last, I don't know, 20 years or whatever. They might have gotten out in the mid 90s, you know, never have been back into it, never paid any attention, didn't know much about the hobby, whatever. And they've came back, and in 2020, PSA is the leader. And I've mentioned this before, but just, you know, 3 years ago, BGS was actually the higher valued card. PSA may have still, you know, had a lot of stuff on the market, but BGS, you know, everybody submitted Bowman to BGS. When I first started talking about grading, or talking to people about grading and everything, it was always, oh, send modern to BGS and vintage to PSA or whatever. And then like around 2018, that whole mindset shifted. People started sending Bowman to PSA. They were sending PRIZM to PSA. They were, you know, everything was going to PSA. And then that's kind of when PSA took the reins, ran with it, and they haven't looked back. However, you know, that's not to say it won't change in the future. Am I going to sit here and claim that yes, it's going to? No, I'm not going to say that, but I'm saying it is. We never know. So, with that out of the way, yes, PSA sells for more, you know, whatever, but I want to show a few things, go back a little bit, and what I want to do is go back to May. Let's go back to May. SGC started gaining some popularity with modern around probably February time frame, March time frame, picked up, you know, April, May. A lot more stuff than normal was hitting market, hitting eBay and everything. Sales were being made. And during this time, the gap wasn't too bad. I want to show you here, and, you know, I'm going to go into this some, but if you look here, you know, you had and I'm using the Zion PRIZM because that's kind of the hot card of 2020 for basketball and everything. So I'm just going with that one, just kind of showing an idea of where we're at. So right here on May 5th, you had a fixed price sale of $5.99. You had a fixed price of $5.30. You come up here, you had an auction at 540, an auction at 510, and then May 17th, fixed price 500. So they were pretty consistent at that 500 mark on the SGC 10. So let's go over here and look at PSA. So we'll come back down here around the same time, and you're going to see right here 525, 569, and then you have this one right here. It was an auction that went for 800. Now, I've talked about this before. Weird things like this happen a lot. People will price a card for, I don't know, $1,200, take 600. But these API pricing platforms and everything are going to show that at $1,200. People still don't understand that when they look up a completed sale, just because it says 1,200 doesn't mean it always sold for 1,200. But what that does to, sometimes in people's minds is they see that and they're like, holy shit, Zion went from 600 to 1,200, I better grab one. And then, that can cause it to go up 50, 60, 100, whatever. And then, then you got a recent sale and then add $100 more. And then that'll cause it to bump up maybe another 20. And then the things just start flowing. So I wanted to point this one out at 800 because just, right here, you had a 525 sale. And then you go to here and you're at 800, which then that 800 causes a 600 sale, as I was mentioning. Then you go here, you got a 561. It kind of smooths down just a little bit, 575, 605, 610. But, what I'm getting at with this is these prices, 540, 530, 599. This could have been in the 525 range. Again, I don't know. Let's see. 550. So the price was close. It was close. And May is obviously when SGC got hit hard. That's when the turnaround time started taking a little bit longer. It's when they started getting told that they were misleading people. That I believe it was around that time when Peter had gotten on the first time and said, send us your cards and all that stuff. And they had a big, massive influx. And sure, I get people being upset. But the one thing I don't get is PSA's had this issue for years. They still have this issue. I have a gut feeling that they're going to get slammed so hard. You've got PRIZM football. You're going to have PRIZM basketball coming up. You've got the Pokemon market that went haywire and people are starting to send all that stuff in. You've gonna, PRIZM basketball will be out. Optic will be out. Optic football will be following up. There's so many products releasing so quickly together now. And so much stuff, baseball's, like I just did in my last video, was supposed to be released in February. You're going to have all those rookies that people are going to send in. I think they're just going to get hit. And my thing is, I get SGC was the new kid on the block. I get what Peter said. I get the false expectations that people thought were going to happen. I guess people didn't expect, well, if PSA has been backed up for years, this guy's on camera telling us to send us our cards and they're going to be able to do it, And I get that. I get he made a bold statement, but I also get him not wanting to put the cart before the horse and hire on a bunch of staff that if people didn't send the cards, um, then he would have to let go because he wouldn't have use for them. So obviously, we all know what happened in 2020, and people sent him. People listened. They sent him, and he couldn't get the staff added quick enough. So no excuses. I get what people are talking about. But I think there's more to it than that. And I've mentioned this before, and what I wanted to talk about here, you know, I've said auctions on SGC just doesn't work. Um, First off, people just don't really search for SGC. eBay, you know, eBay is set up and designed, obviously with PSA in mind. You type a card in and it'll have PSA at the end as an auto filler, so you can search for a PSA. Hell, it'll normally say 10, 9, 8, whatever. You never see that with SGC. My Slabs, when they started up, they didn't even have an option for SGC. They're just not searched. So that is a lot to do with the popularity. It's a lot to do with everybody on YouTube talking about PSA. It's the new hot thing of 2020 as well. All of the market tools and the charts and everything else, they're designed for PSA. And so you have to have that mentality to look for the SGC slab and not just ingrained on PSA, or there's no attention to it. If you're not searching for it, then, it's not going to be there. And I'll be honest, I've actually just typed in SGC some nights and just do ending soonest. And there's so many auctions on there of cards that are just way underpriced, that either don't get bid on or somebody will snag it at the last second and get a hell of a deal. And every time that happens, it makes it harder for the next guy to sell theirs because, well, the most recent sale was $25 on a card that could have sold for $60 or $75 or $100. And, then what you have is if you got 6 guys who have the same card at, buy it now price, and they're all trying to compete with each other, and you have this other guy that throws out an auction, well, now you're not only competing with all your buy it now movers or listers, but you have to compete with that auction price that ended at a lower value. So then what will happen is you'll get somebody sending an offer, for way less than you have it priced at, or you'll have seller number 2 drop his price, but then seller number 3 is really trying to get rid of his because he needs the money, so he drops his even lower. And then you have that domino effect where the price in the market is just hurting itself because everybody's competing. And you had the auction guy that undersold. You have the 9.5 that it seems nobody can grasp how to sell, which was a great seller when SGC started getting popular. You could price that bad boy, above a PSA 9. They sold great. You had the PSA people that want to crack them and send them to PSA. Go for it. They were bringing better value, and then you're taking the risk of the 9 when you had a card already graded that was damn good. But people just haven't stuck to that plan. And I really think some of it could be the turnaround time. They've had money tied up. They've been waiting on getting these cards back. and they need to recoup the funds from the grading fees so they can buy other cards, or they don't want to miss something on the market. They've had their eye on something, whatever the case may be. So they want to move them quick, and I get that. I get wanting to get the cards back and sell them quick. I'm also going to give you just a horror story. It's not always the best idea. I used PSA last November, October-November range. I had several Lucas. I had a Tatis that was very valuable, and I, at the time, sold at high end of the market. Thought I was doing great until I realized a year later I could have 10x'd my money, 12x'd, whatever it was, and we're talking thousands of dollars that I left on the table. Now, difference being is when I bought my boxes and product, the prices weren't crazy. So I profited either way, and it is what it is. But it's not always best to sell as soon as you get something back in hand. But I know people do, because they use that money to either grade more or, again, buy something they've had their eye on, or dump into another guy that they think has potential to go up. And so where the problem lies really, it's buyer end not searching for the product, and seller end not having the patience to find, to wait for the buyer. Because once more people had their cards in hand, once more was hitting the market, everybody thought, well, as soon as more SGC get on the market, that's going to help them. It does raise more attention to the product, but it also causes more sellers to be competing with each other. And so I think it's a fault on both sides. Buyers just don't search as often for an SGC, and sellers undercut them. They undercut each other to try to move it. They get this thought in their head that they can't sell an SGC slab. They basically give the damn thing away at some points. But here you can see in May, the two sides were pretty equal. Close. I'm not going to say equal, but the gap was closed. So let's go and look at something else I didn't show you guys. So the way I have this set up, it started with newest first, which would obviously be December 2020. I only have 50 items per page. I searched 2019 PRIZM Zion Williamson SGC 10. And it took me 5 pages to be able to get to May. Well, if you go over here to the PSA side and look, I have 250 listings per page, newest first, auction and fixed price, and it took me 35 pages to get to May. So I had 5 times more listings per page and 7 times more pages to get to the same point between the two companies. And obviously it has the draft in here and all the parallels and all that stuff, but that is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. And I'm going to go ahead and go over here to the pop reports to show you guys. Right here is the base Zion with SGC. There's 886 of them graded. You have a total of 250 10s, 13 pristines, 237 gem mints. And then you have that 9-5 that is the mysterious card that everybody is still trying to figure out how to price. You have 311 of those, so you have more of those than you do a 10. And we know everybody wants to have the 10s. So 886 on that. Let's go look at PSA. 25,800 and let's see, 35, 42, 844. 25,844 to 886. So you have almost 25,000 more base cards in the PSA slab. That's a pretty wide margin. That's also going to, as I was speaking of competitive buyers, there's obviously way more PSA on the market. Way, I mean, that's mind-blowingly. That'd be like if I made $800 a week and you made $25,000 a week. Yeah, that's a huge ass difference. Okay. You have 14,000 10s compared to 250, including the pristine in SGC. Crazy nuts. So with PSA, you would think, well, if there's that many and the buyers are even more competitive, then why don't the prices go lower? Well, that's where the sellers and searching come in, because people don't, there's more people searching for the PSA slab. And there's obviously enough product there for them to buy. So, like I was saying, if they were floating around 600 and SGC was tagging on that tail, and somebody manipulates that market to hit 800 in an auction when one had just sold for, what was it, 520 something or 560 something, whatever it was, and then one pops up at 800, well, then the next guy is like, oh shit, I need to buy one at 6 or 625, whatever, and that causes a flowing effect on all of these. And they can throw theirs at auction and get a decent price because people are searching for it. And the auctions kill the SGC value. So, will the gap close? If you just put into perspective what I just talked about, 25,000 more copies of a single card that is, what, a year old now? I think, yeah, it's probably about a year when PRIZM came out last year. That's a huge ass number. I mean, that gap needs to close. Now, something I did want to show before I went to this. If I go back over here to 1, you can see that even today, the Zions are selling for $550, $500. Let's see. This one was an auction. Again, proves my point. $345. Fixed price $600. Auction $355. So that proves my point right there. These people, and obviously as I said before, the 500 sales, they could have been a seller offer or something like that. I don't know, because it's not going to show me that here. Actually, I could pull it up here and do PRIZM. this would kind of give me an idea if they were seller offers or not. Okay, so this was a best offer of $500, so that was a $500 sale. And this one was $450. That was a best offer. And where's the others? Okay, $345 was an auction. So that one was $485. Like I said, you know, that shows $600. Here shows the best offer, $485. So even still, $485 there, $345 on auction. That's a huge number. That's $140 that the auction person lost when that person sold it straight up on an offer. That, you know, now this could have made it hard. And why it took, what? Let's see, where was the other one? December 1st, they sold it for $450. But that took, what, 2 weeks, I think? To sell that and get somebody to buy it at that? Well, about a week. Simply because they were probably trying to barter it for $350. I mean, hey, one just sold at auction for $345. I'll give you $350. So that's just the kind of thing you got to deal with. 25,000 more copies is obviously going to get a lot more attention, but it's crazy that we hear so many times SGC grades so much better. The tuxedo looks so awesome. And yet, people still go after the PSA slab. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but to each their own. I'm just doing this to go over it. I actually seen this question posted in the SGC collector group. So I thought about it and I was like, I haven't really talked about this in a while. Let me throw this up and just kind of give some idea to where we're at, where we were at. Here is, so you got 700, 750, 672, 684, 665. So that's what I wanted to show. Same card, no difference. Hell, those could have been graded back in May. They could have sold $20 apart in May. Same player, same card. Here we are 7 months later, and we're talking about a $200 price gap. We were at 20, now we're at 200. So, will the gap ever close? Who knows? Maybe one day. But until people sit and think about the fact that they're paying 200, actually, they're paying like 33% more just for the piece of plastic that card is in, when there's almost 26,000 graded, 14,000 of them in a 10. There's no limitation there, you know, no rarity. It boggles my mind. Maybe it's just the availability of the SGC and just the lack of searching it. Maybe they do need to come up with a way to market better. Maybe if shows can come back, they can hit shows up. When they get the backlog, you know, caught up more and the turnaround times start getting better. But as sellers, we have to learn to be patient. You know, don't give your stuff away. You waited, you paid the fees, you got the grade on the card. Earn your money. You know, don't sit there and give it away. If there's something for your collection and you just want to move it, I completely get it. But I try to do that outside of the tracking sources. You know, if I want to sell a Zion, which I don't have any, but if I wanted to sell one, and hell, I just wanted $300 because I didn't care about that Zion Prism, I'd throw it up on Facebook or, you know, at a show or something like that. Hell, even go My Slabs because they don't have any tracking, you know, data. You can go through history, but it takes forever. You know, something that's not showing a market decline. But when you're throwing it out there for eBay and the graphs and everything else to catch on to it and show, oh, whoop, there's that $200 price difference, it's going to continuously get worse. Personally, I'm content with what I get, and I price pretty. I have a little ratio that I kind of stick to. I've done it ever since the beginning. I told y'all in the beginning I used to use BGS 9.5 and the PSA 10 price, and I'd smack the SGC 10 in the middle. That worked pretty good. Now I just kind of think, what did I have in the card? What is the PSA selling for? How much do I feel that this card, you know, should bring? Try to get close to the gap. And then just see how it goes. I mean, hell, even if you put it up for a few weeks and if you start getting watchers or whatever on it, at least you know it's getting some attention. If it's just sitting there, even on a raw card, if it's just sitting there, go ahead, bump your price down a little bit. It's not going to hurt. But it's really tough. Honestly, for me, I've made this mistake myself. To keep up with the PSA prices are doing with the market being so volatile. And sometimes I'll list a card, it'll be close. Next thing I know, the PSAs went up, and I've got somebody sending me an offer, or they'll just buy it, and then I'll go look, and I'll be like, shit, I undersold it. So that happens too. But anyway, guys, if you like the tux, if you like the quality of grading, stick to SGC if you're satisfied. If you're not, and you want, you know, the higher value or whatever you want to call it, you know, obviously, who knows what the line's going to be like. They're horrible everywhere, but you know, try them out. I mean, I'm sticking with what I've became comfortable with and what I enjoy for not only my collection, but the company as a whole. I do feel eventually things will have to smooth out. There's this hobby is sports cards. It's not grading company, although that is the massive topic of all the time. But we do this hobby for the cards, and that's no question. The grading is just a side aspect of it. So I would have to think at some point, I'm not saying that anyone's going to overtake anyone else, but there has to be some sort of level C of it. But no matter what, there's collectors out there for everybody. There's people that love BGS. There's people that love SGC. There's people that love GMA. There's people that love raw cards. There's people that love mags, you know, one touches. There's people that love, apparently, sealed wax. So there's a collector of everything out there. So, you know, buy what you love, buy what you can afford, use who you like, and just enjoy the hobby, guys. Will the price gap ever close? I really don't know. But I think we need to stop worrying about that. You know, if we like SGC, use them. Be happy with what you're getting. So anyway, guys, with that, if you enjoyed this video, and I hope it did help with some numbers and everything else, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn the little bell on. And as always, guys, please, please, please stay safe, stay healthy. And until the next video, I'm out.